The goal of the game of SugarWorks is to have the most points at the end of the game. At the beginning of the game, the player who last ate candy is given the candy die. They will be the starting player. After placing the board, set the candy output tiles in their starting positions, placing a matching candy piece on top of them. Then place the shipping crates in their starting locations, and next, mix the conveyor tiles and give 3 to each player. After that, separate the 2-sided blanket order cards from the rest of the order cards. Shuffle the remaining order cards, deal 3 to each player, place the rest of the order deck beside the board, and reveal 4 of them to create the order market. Next, shuffle the blanket order cards and place 3 next to the board, gray side up. The first player rolls the candy die and flips each blanket order in play that has a matching candy symbol to the die's result. Each round of SugarWorks has 2 phases, the player's phase and the conveyor phase. And even though the conveyor phase is after the player phase, I think I'll start there so the choices the players make on their turns make a little more sense. In this phase, each piece of candy moves 2 spaces, following the arrows from left to right, starting from the candy output tiles, along the conveyors, and potentially into the shipping crates at the other side of the board. The order for which candy piece moves depends on the kind of candy and where they are on the board. The red circle candies move first, followed by the yellow hexagons, then green triangles, blue squares, and finally, purple rectangles. If there are multiple candies of the same type on the board, they are moved in order from top right to bottom left. Earlier, I said that the candies continue like this until potentially ending up in the crates. And that's because there's a couple effects that can change the flow of candies on the conveyors. Firstly, there are conveyor tiles. Some of these feature arrows that change the direction that candies travel across the board. Up, down, left, right, on a diagonal, or even jumping a couple spaces. Secondly, there's the bonk mechanic. Bonks are when candy pieces collide with each other in the course of their travels across the board. The effects depend entirely on the type of candy getting hit. There's a reference card that explains all of the interactions for your convenience, but to go over the list real quick. When a red circle is hit, the red circle moves 1 space to the right. When a yellow hexagon is hit, the yellow hexagon moves 1 space diagonally up and right. If a green triangle piece is struck, the piece that hit it moves diagonally 1 space up and to the right. In the case of a blue square getting hit, the striking piece moves 1 space down. And if a purple rectangle is struck, the striking piece moves 1 space to the right of the purple rectangle. If the result of any effect moves a piece of candy off the right end of the conveyor, that piece of candy is placed in the shipping crate in the direction of movement, like so. If an effect moves candy off of any of the other sides of the conveyors, then the candy is lost and ends up down here until the end of the game. Just as a quick aside, there are conveyor tiles that automatically count certain candies as lost, so watch out for those as well. So now that we've gone over what happens on the conveyor phase of the game, let's go back to the player's phase and see what the players can do on their turns. Each player has 2 actions they must use on their turn, an order action and a factory action. Order actions, as you may have guessed, concern these order cards. As an action, you may either put a face-up card in your hand, draw 1 face down from the deck into your hand, or discard 1 face-up card. Once a face-up order card is removed, it is immediately replaced, and if a player is holding more than 5 order cards in their hand, they must discard until they are back down to 5. I know we haven't talked about order cards yet, but we'll get to them soon, but for now let's go on to the factory actions. The factory action the player takes has to do with the board. For this, a player must either move 1 candy output tile into an empty slot, lay down a conveyor tile from their hand, or discard an order card to add a matching candy piece on an empty candy output tile. Once every player has taken their turn, the conveyor starts up, and after all the pieces have moved and the bonks have been resolved, it's on to the next round. The candy die is given to the next player going clockwise, and they roll it to see what new pieces of candy are placed on the candy output tiles. After the new pieces are placed, the new round begins, and it's the first player's turn. The game ends when the last piece of a single type of candy has either been lost or has made its way all the way through the factory and into a shipping crate. When this happens, finish out the movements of the other candy on the board, and then it's time to add up the scores. And this is where we'll finally talk about the order cards. Orders are how you gain points, and there are 3 kinds of order cards: special orders, sales orders, and blanket orders. Sales and special orders are what players hold in their hand and are what they interact with on the first action of their turn. Special orders are scored immediately after their goal is achieved, whereas sales orders are only scoreable at the end of the game. As stated before, a player can only have 5 orders in their hand, so they'll want to score some special orders to make room for the more valuable sales orders for the end of the game. As we said during setup, blanket orders are separate from the others, and these can be scored by every player who fulfills them. Some even have points available for those suckers who come in second. A couple of rules to keep in mind when scoring. Ties always benefit both sides. 2 or more people fulfill the requirements of a blanket order, both score. There are equal numbers of candies in a crate, they all count as fewest and most for that crate. Also, a candy doesn't need to have other candies in a crate with it to be considered the most, but it does have to be present in the crate to be considered the fewest. So that's the basic competitive way to play the game of SugarWorks, but there are many variations, including solo and co-op, which are pretty easy to explain here, so I'll do it. You have an open hand of 8 order cards. Same rules and actions as before, you're trying to score the most points by completing orders. In solo, the player takes 2 turns before the conveyor phase begins. At the end of the game, the scored points are counted up, the incomplete order points are subtracted, and the final score is compared to the chart in the rulebook to get your rating for the game. And that, my friends, is how you play SugarWorks. A pretty sweet game if you ask me, and until next time, this is Hogwash. Catch you later.